Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into Madhav's journey, the tale of the Pav Bhaji vendor. It's this incredibly powerful story of struggle, jealousy, and, well, the ultimate triumph of honesty. We're going to follow Madhav, a poor street food vendor whose entire life was flipped upside down during one seriously relentless rainstorm. And look, this isn't just a story about food, right? It's a really profound look at human nature, business ethics, and how the way we handle adversity basically shapes our ultimate success. Can a 2,000 rupee note change someone's destiny and someone else's integrity? I mean, wow, this single question sits right at the heart of our story today. It's the ultimate catalyst that triggers both a phenomenal rise and, honestly, a pretty devastating fall. It kind of forces us to ask ourselves, how would we react if a sudden windfall just landed right in our lap? Or maybe even worse, in the lap of our neighbor? Would it inspire us to build something better, or would it plant that bitter seed of envy? All right, let's get into part one, Madhav's hard struggle. We're going to start by looking at our protagonist during his absolute darkest hour. To truly get this journey, you've got to picture the scene. Imagine a dark, stormy evening in the village. Madhav is desperate, standing there in the pouring rain with just his humble wooden pushcart. He hasn't made a single sale all day, literally zero. He's terrified of going home to his wife, Sumitra, totally empty-handed, especially knowing their tiny house has a leaky roof and they are completely out of groceries. But then, just as he's about to throw in the towel and pack up, a car full of stranded, wealthy city travelers, totally detoured by the weather, pulls up to his cart looking for a hot meal. Now, what's really fascinating here is this single number, 2,000 rupees. That's the massive tip Madhav received. See, he served them his incredibly delicious, piping hot pav bhaji, cooked with fresh butter and just a whole lot of heart. The travelers were absolutely blown away by the taste and his sheer dedication in that miserable weather. So they handed him a 2,000 rupee note. This unexpected windfall didn't just save his family from immediate hunger. It also caught the eye of a very jealous neighbor watching from the shadows. Which brings us to Section 2, Rajesh's jealousy and plot. Enter Rajesh, a local grocery store owner with, frankly, a pretty small heart. He just couldn't stomach Madhav's sudden stroke of luck. Rajesh was absolutely terrified that Madhav might one day become his equal. So what does he do? He immediately executes a 3-step sabotage plan. Step 1, wait for the evening rain to return. Step 2, march over to Madhav's cart with his cronies and loudly claim the food smells foul and that Madhav is using rotten veggies. And step 3, spread false rumors. He explicitly told people that the city travelers from the night before had fallen severely ill. It worked too. He successfully scared away Madhav's local customers by basically weaponizing the village's tendency to gossip. You can imagine Madhav was devastated. He sat there completely empty for hours as the village completely shunned him. But just when he was losing all hope, the exact same wealthy travelers returned. The man steps out of his car and delivers this exact quote. "My wife liked the taste of your bhaji so much that she didn't even cook at home today." I mean, how great is that? He even brought a whole caravan of his friends along. They completely shattered Rajesh's lies just by being there, perfectly healthy, and then they proceeded to buy out Madhav's entire stock for the night. Moving right along to Section 3, Victory of Truth and Honesty. The really crucial takeaway here is that Madhav didn't just survive this sabotage. He actually used his newfound savings and surging popularity to dream much bigger. Let's look at how his growth actually builds. Phase 1 was the wooden pushcart in the rain, right? Well, for Phase 2, tired of his wife having to catch leaks with pots and pans at home, Madhav makes a super bold move. He takes his savings, gets support from the village sarpanch, and upgrades to a permanent rented shop right at the crossroads. He calls it the Madhav Pav Bhaji Center. And get this, he even extended an olive branch by inviting Rajesh to the inauguration, though, of course, Rajesh bitterly refused. Eventually, this leads to Phase 3, the Highway Family Restaurant. But we'll get to that in a sec. So Rajesh, instead of just attending the inauguration, launches a second, way more aggressive phase of sabotage. As the new shop fills up with happy customers, local thugs hired by Rajesh suddenly burst in. Their plan? Step 1, get hired by Rajesh. Step 2, order food and discreetly drop pebbles right into their plates. Step 3, create a massive public scene. They started throwing things and screaming that Madhav was trying to sicken the whole village, just totally trying to ruin the shop's brand new reputation. But here's where the power of truth and basic observation comes in to save the day. The local head constable, Raghuveer Singh, just happened to be eating there in plain clothes with his wife. He steps right in, picks up the plates, and instantly exposes the thug's lie with some simple logic. He says, these pebbles seem to have been dropped from above because there is no bhaji masala on them at all, right? If they were cooked in the dish, they'd be coated in spices. Since they were completely clean, they were obviously dropped in afterward. Absolutely terrified of the police, the thugs folded immediately and confessed Rajesh had paid them. All right, Section 4, Rajesh's punishment for greed. Furious that his plan was exposed and that he couldn't destroy Madhav, Rajesh decides to directly compete with him, and this gives us a really fascinating contrast in business ethics. So Rajesh opens his own Pav Bhaji stall right outside his grocery store. But if we put their recipes side by side, the contrast is crazy. Madhav's recipe, fresh vegetables, expensive butter, and a super clean preparation. He focused on quality and honest hard work. Rajesh's recipe, on the other hand, used stale leftover vegetables from the market, cheap dal de ghee instead of real butter, and just dumped in extra spices solely to hide the terrible taste. His only focus was extracting maximum profit through cheap, unhealthy shortcuts. You can probably guess exactly how this played out. Customers who were lured in by Rajesh's slightly cheaper prices suffered intense stomach infections almost immediately. The complaints piled up so incredibly fast that they reached the village panchayat. The sarpanch stepped in, imposed a heavy financial penalty on Rajesh, and forcefully shut down his shop permanently. It resulted in a total loss of reputation for him in the village. It really just proves that a business built on deception and poor quality simply cannot sustain itself. Now for our final part, Section 5, Lesson of Forgiveness and Success. With his rival defeated by his own greed, Madhav's impeccable reputation just kept growing, eventually catching the eye of a major city newspaper. An article got published detailing how this poor, honest vendor overcame intense sabotage through pure quality and integrity. Well, a wealthy city businessman read Madhav's story and was so moved, he actually tracked him down. He offered to fund a massive highway restaurant partnership called Madhav Ki Asli Pav Bhaji. The businessman provided the capital, and Madhav brought the culinary genius. So Madhav fully transitions from a desperate pushcart vendor to a wealthy restaurant owner. He built this beautiful concrete house for Sumitra, but the amazing thing is he never let the success change his pure heart. He literally still prepared the base spices himself, every single day. Then, one day, driving through his old village, Madhav sees Rajesh. Rajesh was ruined, just sitting in the dust outside his failing grocery store, completely broken by his own malice. Now, in the ultimate display of moral victory, Madhav didn't mock him. Instead, he walks right up to his former enemy and says, "Forget the past, Rajesh brother. If you want, you can take charge as a store manager in my new hotel." He offered him a well-paying job and a genuine second chance. Utterly humbled, Rajesh broke down, accepted the offer, and promised to work with absolute honesty from that day forward. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, really powerful question to reflect on. No matter how heavy the rain, if intentions are firm, the sun surely rises. What is your intention? Madhav could have easily let the rain, the poverty, or the constant sabotage ruin him, but instead his pure intentions acted as an anchor. It's such a great reminder that while we can't control the storms or the people trying to bring us down, we have absolute control over our own integrity. So think about your current projects, your business, your daily life. What is your core intention? Let that guide you, and eventually your sun will rise too. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.